The moment my girlfriend walked away, I thought the night had decided for me. People leave all the time, doors closing, conversations ending mid-sentence. That's normal. What wasn't normal was the hand that caught my sleeve before I could follow her. Not tight, not dramatic, just enough pressure to say, wait. I still don't know if it was an accident. I've replayed it too many times. We were at her sister's place, a narrow repair shop that doubled as an office, all oil-smudged concrete and the smell of burnt coffee. The kind of place where the radio never quite tuned in and the lights buzzed like they were thinking about quitting. My girlfriend hated it there, said it reminded her that people stayed stuck. She'd snapped something sharp at me, I don't even remember what, and walked out into the parking lot, heels clicking like punctuation. I stood there, stupidly holding a chipped mug, not sure if I was supposed to chase her or let the silence do its thing. That's when her sister spoke. Hey, she said. Just that. Like she wasn't interrupting anything important. Like she hadn't noticed the air go thin. She was older, mid-40s, maybe more, but not in a way that felt tired. More like settled. Dark hair pulled back, sleeves rolled, a faint crease between her brows that made it look like she paid attention for a living. She had grease on her knuckles and the calm posture of someone who knew where things belonged, including herself. You don't have to run after her every time, she said, eyes on the counter, wiping her hands on a rag. She cools off faster if you don't. I laughed because it felt expected of me. Instead, I stood there, noticing things I had no business noticing. The way she kept her weight on one hip, the way her voice lowered at the end of a sentence like she wasn't asking for agreement. She poured me fresh coffee without asking. Black. I'd never told her how I took it. Your hands are shaking, she added, not unkindly. They always do, I said. That wasn't true. But I didn't correct myself. Another pause. The radio crackled, then went quiet. Somewhere outside, a car door slammed. She slid the mug toward me, our fingers brushing, barely, and I swear the room noticed. Not in a cinematic way, more like a skipped breath. You okay? She asked. I nodded too fast. Yeah, just long day. She leaned back against the counter, studying me like a problem she wasn't sure she wanted to solve. You're young, she said. Not dismissive. Observational. You think everything needs an answer right away. And you don't. I asked. A corner of her mouth lifted. I fix things for a living. I've learned what happens when you rush. We stood there, the space between us crowded with things we weren't naming. I could have walked out. I should have. Instead, I watched her reach for the radio, adjust the dial, then stop halfway, like she'd thought better of it. From the parking lot, my girlfriend's voice echoed, sharp and distant. Neither of us moved. Her sister glanced toward the door, then back at me. Her hand was still near the radio, fingers resting, undecided. Give her a minute, she said quietly. I did, and I still think about the way she didn't let go of that moment first. The second time it happened, it felt less like an accident. My girlfriend had asked me to drop off paperwork at her sister's shop, something about insurance forms she didn't want to deal with. She'll explain it, she'd said, already halfway out the door, already elsewhere. I told myself that was the only reason I went. That, and the rain that started coming down hard enough to make driving feel like commitment. The shop was quieter than before. Evening quiet. Tools lined up like they were waiting for instructions. The radio was off this time. She was under the hood of a car, sleeves rolled, hair falling loose at the nape of her neck. She didn't look up right away. Back already, she said, voice slightly muffled. Not surprised, just aware. I handed her the envelope. I think this is yours. She took it, glanced at the name, sighed. Of course it is. Then she wiped her hands and finally faced me. Her eyes looked tired in a way that wasn't about sleep. Like she'd been holding something steady all day and it was starting to shake. You can put that there, she said, nodding toward a stool. If you're staying. I wasn't sure if that was an invitation or a test. I stayed anyway. She went back to the engine, talking through what she was doing. Not for me, I think, but because silence was loud. I listened, noticed the way she flexed her fingers before tightening a bolt, the faint wince she didn't bother hiding. When she laughed at herself for dropping a wrench, it came out short and surprised, like she hadn't expected it. You don't have to help, she said when I stepped closer. I know, I said. I held the light anyway. We worked like that for a while. Not touching. Almost. I watched her hands, steady, scarred, capable. I watched the crease between her brows deepen when she concentrated, soften when she forgot I was there. She didn't ask me questions. I didn't offer answers. It felt balanced in an uneven way. At some point, she stopped and leaned back against the car, closed her eyes, just for a second. When she opened them, she looked embarrassed, like she'd been caught doing something private. Sorry, she said. Long week. It's okay, I said. Too quickly. Yeah, I get it. She studied me then. Not like before. This time there was hesitation in it, like she was weighing whether to say something and deciding against it. You notice things, she said finally. I shrugged. I try. The rain got louder, drumming on the metal roof. She glanced toward the door, then back at me. You might be stuck for a bit. I don't mind, I said, and meant it more than I should have. She reached for a rag, missed it, laughed under her breath. I handed it to her. Our fingers touched, longer than necessary, shorter than safe. She didn't pull away right away. Neither did I. For a moment, everything else waited. It got late without either of us naming it. The shop lights were dimmed to half. Not off, just softened, like the place was pretending to rest. Outside, the rain had settled into a steady, patient sound, not dramatic enough to call a storm, but loud enough to erase excuses. We'd eaten from a takeout box balanced on the counter, plastic forks scraping softly. She'd pushed the onions to the side. I noticed. I always noticed. You don't have to stay, she said again, halfway through, like she was testing whether the words still worked. I know, I said. Again. She didn't argue this time. She just nodded and kept eating, shoulders slumped in a way I hadn't seen before. Not defeated, just unguarded. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She didn't look at it. When it buzzed again, she exhaled through her nose and turned it face down. Everything okay? I asked, hating how much I wanted the answer. She hesitated. That small pause again, the one that felt like a door cracking. Yeah, she said. Then, quieter, it's just noise. I leaned back against the workbench, hands in my pockets so I wouldn't do something stupid. You don't seem like someone who lets noise in. She laughed at that. A real laugh this time. Soft, a little surprised. That's because I'm good at pretending. She rubbed her palms together like they were cold, then stopped, aware she was doing it. I used to think if I stayed busy enough, nothing else could catch up. And did it work? I asked. For a while, she said. Until it didn't. The rain picked up, harder now, drumming against the roof. The lights flickered once. She looked up instinctively, then back at me. Our chairs were closer than they'd been earlier. I hadn't noticed moving them. Her phone buzzed again. She glanced this time. Didn't answer. Someone important. I asked, immediately wishing I hadn't. She shook her head. Someone familiar. Then she looked at me. Really looked, like she was measuring what not to say. Some things don't stay finished. I swallowed. Thought about my girlfriend. Thought about the way she'd walked away last time, assuming things would fall back into place. Thought about how wrong that felt. I should go, I said, finally doing the right thing too late. She didn't say yes. Didn't say no. She stood instead, close enough that I could see the faint lines at the corners of her eyes, the tiredness she tried to keep tucked away. She smelled like oil and soap and rain. Drive safe, she said. I reached for my jacket. She reached for the light switch. Our hands crossed in the air, missed each other by inches. We both stopped. Looked. For a second, neither of us moved. For a second, it felt like we might. It happened on a night when nothing else did. No rain. No radio. Just the hum of the refrigerator in the back and the click of the wall clock I'd never noticed before. I was there to pick up my girlfriend. She'd texted 5 minutes, 20 minutes earlier, but the shop was empty except for her sister and me. She was sitting at the desk this time, glasses on, paperwork spread out like it might keep her company. When I walked in, she looked up and didn't smile. Not because she was upset, because smiling would have meant pretending. You're early, she said. Or late, I said. It came out quieter than I meant. She watched me for a long second. Then she took her glasses off and set them down carefully, like she didn't trust her hands if she moved too fast. Sit, she said. It wasn't a request. I sat. The chair across from her, Too close. We'd crossed that line without touching anything. She folded her hands, then unfolded them. Tried again. This can't keep happening, she said. My chest tightened. What can't? She looked past me, at the wall, like the words were written there, and she was deciding whether to read them out loud. This pause. Every time you're here. The way everything goes quiet. I swallowed. I thought it was just me. She shook her head once. Sharp. No. Silence stretched. Not awkward. Heavy. The kind that asked for something. I'm not doing anything wrong, I said, even as part of me knew that wasn't the point. I know, she said. Too fast. That's the problem. She leaned back, exhaled slowly. When she looked at me again, her eyes were bare. No confidence. No control. Just tired truth. I don't understand what I'm supposed to do with this, she said. I've done everything right for a long time. I don't make messes. I clean them up. I stared at my hands. I don't want to mess anything up. That's the other problem, she said quietly. You look at me like I'm already broken. I don't, I said. She held up a hand. Not angry. Just asking me to stop before I said something I couldn't take back. His isn't about romance, she said. Or attraction. It's about disruption. I nodded, even though my throat hurt. Then why does it feel like something's waiting? Her mouth tightened. Not a smile. Not a frown. Because we're both pretending this is normal. Another beat. The clock clicked. My sister trusts me, she added. I trust myself. Or I did. I stood then. Not to leave. Just because sitting felt like surrender. I can stop coming by, I said. The words tasted like metal. She looked up at me, and for the first time, she looked scared. Not of me. Of the answer. I don't know if that fixes it, she said. Then, barely above a whisper, I don't know when this started feeling like a mistake I'd miss. The shift didn't arrive with a confession. It came folded inside something ordinary. I was helping her clear out a drawer behind the desk. Old invoices, dead pens, a spare set of keys that didn't belong to anything anymore. My girlfriend was running late again. She always was. The shop felt like a place between breaths. Just toss that, she said, nodding toward a stack of envelopes bound with a rubber band gone brittle. I picked them up anyway. Habit. Wait. They were addressed to her. Same handwriting. Same return address. Dated years back. I didn't read them. I didn't have to. She noticed my pause. Those are old, she said. Not defensive. Just factual. From him. I asked. I wasn't sure who him was. I just knew there had to be one. She hesitated, then nodded once. My husband. The word landed wrong. Not because it shocked me, but because it felt unfinished. He passed, she added, almost as an afterthought. 5 years ago. I didn't say I was sorry right away. It felt like a reflex she'd already heard too many times. She reached into the drawer and pulled out a photo instead. It was creased down the middle, softened from being handled. Her, younger. Him beside her. His arms slung around her shoulder like he belonged there without asking. You look happy, I said. I was, she said. Then, quieter, I still am. Just not in the same way. She took the photo from my hand, smoothed the crease with her thumb like she could undo it. He used to leave notes in these, she said, tapping the envelopes. Nothing important. Just proof he'd been thinking about me. I nodded. Thought about the way she noticed things. The way she held silence. You remind me of him, she said suddenly. My chest tightened. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, no, she said quickly. Not like that. She searched for words. It's not who you are. It's how you look at me when you think I'm not watching. Like I matter in a quiet way. I didn't trust my voice. That doesn't mean anything has to. I know, she said. That's why it scares me. The shop door opened then. My girlfriend's voice carried in, distracted, talking into her phone. The world reassembled itself. She slipped the photo back into the drawer. Closed it. Locked it. When she looked at me again, something had shifted. Not closer. More fragile. Some people don't replace what you lose, she said softly. They remind you it existed. I nodded, heart loud in my ears. As I stepped back, she reached out, not to stop me, just to straighten the collar of my jacket. Her fingers lingered for half a second too long. I didn't see this coming, she said. Neither did I. It didn't happen all at once. It happened the way buildings do when they've been hollowed out quietly, One soft sound, then the understanding that something has given. My girlfriend didn't come by that night. Texted an apology that felt copied from other apologies. I showed up anyway, not because I had a reason, but because pretending I didn't was starting to feel like lying. She was closing up. Lights half off. Jacket on but not zipped. She looked relieved when she saw me, and then immediately annoyed with herself for it. You shouldn't be here, she said. I know, I said. We were getting good at that. She locked the door, leaned her forehead briefly against the metal. She met my eyes, held them, long enough that the shop seemed to fade back into itself. Then we're agreeing to be careful, she said. And honest, I added. She stepped closer, not touching yet, close enough that I could feel the warmth of her through my jacket. And kind, she said, even when this hurts someone. That part mattered. That was the cost. We both knew it. I reached out, slowly, like approaching something skittish. Took her hand. She didn't flinch. Her fingers were cool, steady. She squeezed once. Not reassurance. Confirmation. We didn't kiss. We didn't need to. She leaned her forehead against mine instead, just enough pressure to say I'm here. We breathed like that for a while. No words. No future planning. Just the shared weight of the choice settling into place. When she finally pulled back, she didn't let go of my hand right away. We'll do this quietly, she said. Or not at all. I nodded. Okay. She turned off the last light. The shop went dark except for the street lamp glow through the window. We stood there, hands still linked, as if leaving would be the loudest thing we could do. So we didn't. I'm telling this from a quieter place. Not because everything worked out neatly. It didn't. She let herself be known again, even when it scared her. Especially then. As for me, I stopped confusing intensity with meaning. I learned that love doesn't always announce itself with certainty. Sometimes it shows up as restraint, as patience, as choosing to stay present when leaving would be easier and cleaner. We never promised forever. We promised attention, honesty, care. Some days that looks like sitting together in silence, her reading, me watching the shop lights flicker on at dusk. Some days it looks like space, like letting the quiet be quiet. What surprised me most wasn't the connection, it was how human it felt. Messy, earned, not heroic. Just two people deciding not to turn away from something real because it arrived at the wrong time. I still think about the night my girlfriend walked away, heels clicking into the dark. About the hand that pulled me back, not to claim me, not to steal me, but to ask me to stay long enough to notice. That's what love turned out to be for me. Not fireworks. Not fate. Just attention, offered and returned, when it would have been easier to look elsewhere. If this story made you feel something, let me know in the comments. Would you want more stories like this?